Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Trap Chat. I cannot say this, Trap
Wow.
Chat.
Good morning, social media, right? Woo!
Right. Today's guest is an amazing director of talent acquisition, Jeffrey Shapiro, coming to us live, direct from New York. Jeff, introduce yourself to the folks who don't know you.
I don't know about amazing, but thank you. And I don't know how I can introduce myself to somebody who doesn't know me, because how dare you not know me? But hello, everyone.
What a great intro.
So I am the director of talent acquisition with an organization called RadNet. We are outpatient-based diagnostic medical imaging. I have spent my entire career and life in healthcare. I grew up in a healthcare family.
Okay.
Similar to most people in our world, I stumbled into recruiting. It was not a career choice that I sought. It found me. So good morning, everybody. And I was about to say happy Friday, but it's Thursday.
It is Thursday, unfortunately. So that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you. You said that you stumbled into recruiting. I think I have a similar story, but can you give us a little bit more insight into how one can stumble into recruiting?
Yeah. So I started out in allied health, hands-on. I was a medical assistant. I moved into clinical operations. So I got involved in healthcare operations as a multi-site manager. It was probably 2007, 2008. I was a victim of corporate layoffs. Worked on my resume. Somehow it got in the hands of a recruiter who called me, and somehow I took the phone call. Spent time on the phone, and the conversation turned into, why don't you come in, let's talk. And then that conversation was a hardcore them selling me on why I should get involved in recruiting. It was, I could represent you, I could skill market you, you could probably get this job, but newsflash, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. Without your college degree, your earning potential is going to be capped out. Have you ever thought about getting involved in recruiting? And then that spun into the agency side. No cap out, no max. Like, you want to work as hard as you want to work, you can make whatever you want to make. So I said, sure. But at this point, any job is worth better than no job. And I thought in my mind, I would take it and just still look for healthcare operations, just to have some sort of income. And within a matter of maybe a week or two, I just got bit by the bug and took off from there, never looked back. Do not miss healthcare operations at all. And jumped from a startup agency to an established agency to a client becoming my employer.
Okay.
And that's how I switched to the in-house side. And then after 5 years of my client becoming my employer, I ended up in my role now.
Gotcha. So did you have a different perspective or a different view of what a recruiter actually does, what a recruiter is, when you jumped in? And you said it was pretty quick that you made the shift. So how did that change, and like what happened there?
I love people. I have heard many times I should be in politics, just based on how I like people. People gravitate to me. So the recruiting side, like, I took right away. Like, I did not find it challenging. I hated smiling and dialing all day. Like, I hated it, but I also knew, like, the only way to physically be productive is to be on the phone. Like, metrics are great. I think metrics are amazing, but if you remove what people like we know about the industry and just look at it as if you know nothing, realistically, if I am talking to more people, I am submitting more people to my managers. If I am submitting more people to my managers, they're extending more offers. If they're extending more offers, I'm filling more jobs. That's like the very remedial approach to recruiting without dissecting numbers. I do not miss healthcare operations at all, but I do think it has been a tremendous advantage to me in my career in how I evaluate talent, how I train my recruiters. everyone on my team knows, like, when you are done with your intake and you are writing your screening notes, give it some time, go back to it and read it, and ask yourself, if I'm the manager, what questions do I have before I'm deciding if I would meet this person? And if you come up with any questions, ask yourself why you didn't find out that information in the first place. Ooh. So I am a huge fan of screening notes. I will preach it to anybody in our industry. You give me a platform and I will talk about the importance of screening notes without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I do think operations was beneficial to me getting involved in recruiting.
I think so too. Now I had an opposite path. I started in recruiting and agency recruiting, and then evolved into an internal to TA operations role. And the same way that your technical experience as being in healthcare and then being responsible for recruiting healthcare people, the same way that translated well, like me being a recruiter and knowing how to talk recruiter speak and knowing what things were important to us, that helped me when it came time to, again, pick systems, talk about reports, talk about compliance, and be able to translate those things in a way that was digestible for us, because sometimes we can be a lot. Sometimes we can be a lot. Yeah. And it's not that we're jerks or anything like that. Like, we're really committed to like getting people jobs. Like that is our goal. So when we're adding all of these extra things, like, oh, we need these bells and whistles, oh, you gotta do this, and we're like, no, like, look, John is ready to start working today. Like, what are we doing? Why are we sitting on this? Why are we doing this? So I love to hear that. I like the evolution that you had. Like I said, it is the complete opposite to us. Now, one thing I want to get a little bit personal, because that's what recruiters do. We met online I believe on Twitter, from some mutual connections who I may or may not know in real life, but I have curated my feed in such a way that I only see and interact with the people that I want to, the people that add value. So when you kept popping up, I was like, let's see here. I was like, people that I trust him. People that I have built relationships with have relationship with him. So let's see who this gentleman is. But, we recruiters too, like even I fall into it, we do the trends. What is happening? We want to be seen. We want to stay at the top of the algorithm, because everything that we have to say is the most important, of course. But as we were all changing our pronouns, and being gender specific, you did not, you changed yours to we and us. Tell us why.
I am a master, I gotta say this without the tongue twister, collaborator. Like, I believe at the root of everything we do, we are collaborators. We are representing our candidates. We are representing our organization. We are representing our hiring managers. We as a team on the in-house side need to collaborate with each other, with different business functions. I, in my role, need to collaborate with our vendors. So everything we are doing is a we, us. I am a huge sports fan. I grew up in a hardcore baseball family.
Okay.
I think it was maybe the 2012 Little League World Series. I don't remember what year it was, but Hawaii went to the Little League World Series finals, and it struck me, and I've never forgotten it. On the back of their uniform, most kids love seeing their own name, but the Hawaii team did not have their last name. They had we is greater than me. And my email signature, since I've seen that, it is closed with, instead of yours truly, sincerely, onward, all the best. It is closed with, we is greater than me.
I love that.
It's at the foundation of what we do. So we need to collaborate. It is who we are. It goes back to everything we do when we collaborate has to do with people, and we are being invaded by someone.
Is there a we? Is there a we joining us?
I think there's a we there.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hello? You can be shy here. You can pop your head up.
Look at that. Good morning.
Yeah, so this is my
recruiter.
I know you guys do 9 o'clock. I originally asked for 10 because I thought I'd take her to the bus at 9 o'clock, but today is parent-teacher conferences. So there is no kindergarten today, so she is home all day.
But no, honestly, 9 o'clock is hard for both of us. Like we
Yeah, I know.
we
More
are not
profit.
we are not the most excited about 9 o'clock live shows. But we do it because it's awesome.
Exactly.
To backtrack, I guess, to your question, because recruiters must answer questions. The we us is all that everything I am doing is also representing my organization. Like everything I'm putting out there is more than just me. It is my opinion. It is my words. But I am also the face of my department. So it's a we.
I love it. So do your recruiters also use if they do put a pronoun, they do put pronouns in their signatures or whatever, do they use we us as well, or?
They are very traditional. They're very traditional. I'm trying to peel away the layers and lead by example and let them know, like, it is okay to be you. Like, candidates are going to buy in on you. Like, you are their first point of contact. If they're not cool with you, doesn't matter what you're telling them. I'm not interested in the job if I'm not interested in you. When we are evaluating the talent, we are evaluating the person. Like, my team is responsible. We're in healthcare. My team is responsible for the culture keeper. We are, at the end of that interview, ask yourself, is that person going to give the patient experience that we are going to hold them accountable to? I do not need to know if they are the best clinical person in the world. Like, I was a medical assistant, so I'll talk like my old world. If I'm hiring a medical assistant, I do not need to know, nor do I have any ability to find out, if that medical assistant could find a vein on the first shot, blindfolded, in the dark, with a room full of kids screaming, because that doesn't really matter to the patient. What matters to the patient is their experience. Because if they could do that on the first shot, but they have been rude the entire experience, they're going to get the patient who is, whoa, hold up, before you stick me, could you go get somebody else to do this? Because they're just done with that person. Right. So that is the end question that my team is asking themselves every time they close an interview. Is this person providing our patient experience? Great. Let's put them in front of the decision makers. You guys are responsible for assessing clinical skills. Let me know where it goes from here.
I love it. Rich, you have questions? Well, I know that you're in love right now. I know you are.
This is awesome. First, I got to say, Jeffrey, your company, RadNet, that blends in with your hair. Rad hair, right? But the one thing that really sparked me right off the bat, you're a sports fan. You should know this. When you say we are, there's only one university that says that. We are Penn State. That's where I went to college at. And we were the last university to not put names on our jersey, right? With Joe Papa. But I had to throw that out there. When you said we are, I'm like, man, there's only one person that says that.
Wait, didn't Penn State steal it from Marshall? Wasn't it we are Marshall?
No, I don't think so. Ours is based on a little bit different. We are family.
All right. By the way, I'm an anti-Marshall person. When I did a brief stint in college, I went to WVU, so they are arch rivals. But if I had to put money on it, I would say we are originated with Marshall.
Well, okay, you ready for this? Guess where I grew up at? Uniontown, Pennsylvania, right down from WVU. You know where that's at, right? Very cool. Wow, we could talk WVU stories all day, High Street and everything else, but that'll be for another show.
Again,
Jeffrey, real quick, I want to talk about, like you say, we are with your team. How do you get them to communicate with I know it's very stressful. How do you get them to communicate with the candidates? How do you pick them up? You know, I mean, stressful days. What's your secret to get everybody to work together?
So I believe I'll quote. So it's a Kim Scott thing. So radical candor is part of my leadership philosophy, but just stealing those two words, like, we need to deliver radical candor to our candidates. So we should not be sweeping things under the rug and hiding the bad. I am a huge believer, and I think I maybe tweet it once a week, like on purpose. Job described must be job delivered. So we need to be transparent, and we need to learn from our new hires. So we should be telling people, like, hey, here is something that you are going to have to deal with when you are in this role. Here is what we anticipate being a challenge. We should be openly, outwardly candid, because if and when I do pick up the phone and I call a new hire or a hiring manager or an employee relations person calls a new hire on day 30, 45, 60. And we ask the question, how are things going? Is the job described, the job delivered? We don't want to hear 10,000 things that this person did not know they would be doing. So we need to learn from the information too. Like I believe, I'll give you a fictitious story. So I pick up the phone, I call person A, it's their 30th day, how's it going? And it's okay if this happens. It shouldn't, but it's okay. And person A says, hey, I love it here. I love my manager. I love what I'm doing. But nobody told me I'd be doing A, B, and C. I have no problem doing A, B, and C. I do it every day. 5 days a week, I am responsible for A, B, and C. But nobody told me. Well, we better go back. We better update the job description. We better incorporate that into our interview selection process. We better talk about it at all phases of the interview, including the screening, including the hiring manager, and let's just learn from where we made the mistake. We missed it. We didn't talk about A, B, and C. Okay, you're right. You do it every day. Let's fix that moving forward. So that's why I'm a big fan of transparency, because I don't want somebody in a situation where they left a job, they joined us, and now the job they left, they are wondering, oh no, the grass is not greener. I was sold a false bill of goods. Like, at the end of all this, the one thing we are all talking about is people. And I do not want to mess with a person's income. I am not a fan of just
totally agree.
Lying, baiting, switching. A friend of mine posted this morning how he read a study on recruiters are just selling people on jobs that they don't even want. That's just the negative in our industry is horrible. Like, ask any Joe Schmo off the street what they feel a recruiter does. And I'm going to say, there's no study on this, but 90% of them are having bad experiences. So if 10% of us are doing it right, the 10% of us are the ones that need to raise our voice and use it more, which is why I started using my voice.
And that's awesome, Jeffrey, because you know what? I tell people, I'm not a recruiter. Kirsten knows I'm a job agent. I represent you. I'm like the Jerry Maguire. That separates me because it's human connection, right? Giving equals growth. I'm thinking if you give your heart and soul to this candidate, you're going to grow professionally, you know, and you're so right with this industry. I call these candidates all the time. Recruiters ghost them. I hate to be negative, but it gives our industry a bad name because it's all about just throwing bodies out there to make money. And that's not the truth, man. Good deal, man. I like when you were on that same page. I love that because it's about the person. You know,
I did have a heated argument about ghosting candidates. It was not with you. I don't remember who it was, but you did reach out to me privately on something I posted about ghosting. And I still I could be wrong, but until I'm shown I am wrong, I do not believe it. But I still will believe there is a delineation and a separation between an applicant and a candidate. So I think applicants feel they are being ghosted.
Right.
But I will say, like, if I apply to a job to be a fellowship trained hand surgeon, I should not be expecting a phone call or a response. I'm not ghosted. I'm still an applicant. I'm not a candidate.
Correct.
So I do think job seekers, like newsflash, they need to be held accountable a little bit. Like, we can't just give them a free pass to bash the people in our industry. Because I know my team, like, some of them are managing 50, 65 recs. Some of those recs get 300 applications, depending on the job. And I know for sure the recs that get the 300 organic applies, we're not even directly sourcing. 90% of those applicants are not even qualified for the role. Wow. So am I going to hold my recruiter responsible to call 270 people and say, like, sorry, no? So this is where, like, I have recently changed my opinion. So I used to believe automation could not be your employer branding. It's just not human. But I do think there is value in getting back to the 270 people with an automated message saying,
absolutely,
like, hey, thank you. We did look over your resume, but no, like, it could be a human response. But I don't think my TA partner needs to call 270 people and say, like, thank you for applying. We're moving forward. Like, 270 phone calls, even if it was a minute of their time, is still 270 minutes that they should be doing something of a higher production.
You're right, Jeffrey. And everybody, you know, at this day and age, so many people will just apply for anything. They don't even look at the skill level, and then we have to source that out.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like, 30 million Americans are unemployed. People are desperate for a job. I'm cool with that. I'm cool. But everybody needs to stop these blanket statements that recruiters suck, job seekers suck. Like, no blanket statement is ever going to apply. Like, there is no rule. Like, let's all live by 80-20. Do 80% of recruiters suck? Probably. Do 80% of job seekers apply to jobs they're not qualified for?
Okay.
Probably.
You know what, Jeffrey? I just have to tell you, I said 79% suck. You went 80. You actually hit over my notch. Wow.
I'm an 80-20 person. Like, everything I do is 80-20. Like, what are we trying to solve? Don't come to me with a problem that only happens 20% of the time. I don't need to write a whole new policy to fix something that had 20% of the time.
Man.
Hey, Kirsten, we are hitting
10% of the time. Like, come on.
Hey, come on, man. I love it. We're hitting a good note on Jeffrey right now. This is good stuff, man. I love it.
We have
really transparent.
No, and I think that just circling back to what you said, I've noticed, especially given this time, that I have been sitting in the house, and reevaluating, how I can be better, how I can do the things, not even at a high level, because I think a lot of us improve at a high level, but really, really at a meaningful and impactful level. And if you saw the post I did for ERE yesterday, it was really like me taking that defensiveness off. And I do think that those of us who are vocal, those of us who are quote unquote the good recruiters, the 20%, like we get defensive, and then we lash out, and we spend all of our time trying to prove why this is not true, instead of listening to what people are saying. And they're like, you know what, there really isn't, it really isn't a matter of, are we bad? Are they good? It's a matter of, we didn't communicate effectively. And one of the ways that I pulled that out was, I went in, I was like, I'm going to interview my friend, she's a PM in a technical, in a highly competitive technical industry. I'm like, so, and I want to talk about metrics, because that was my assignment, so I'm like, what metrics matter to you? And she's looking at me like, I don't care about metrics. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, these things that, through our conversation, we hash those things out. And I think that a lot of times we latch onto the negative. We get this, we get stats, we get metrics that say, hiring managers don't think recruiters are good don't think that recruiters hire the most talented people. It's not because they think we're stupid. It's not because they think we're dumb, and I can use this instance. It's because they think that they've given us the information that we need, and that and they're taking for granted. They're making an assumption that we know a lot of things that we may or may not know. So they haven't even communicated to us what they mean by tester, or what things they're going to use, and that we can't use the same job description for every tester. So and like she told me, I said, well, what about I pushed back on some things. I'm like, the job description, blah, blah, blah. She said, I don't write job descriptions, the recruiter does. And I was like, what? She said, no, I just give a synopsis and a brief. And I think that, and they put it together and posted online. And I was like, ma'am, oh my gosh. And I promise you, there are other people that think that, because again, we come with yes, I have I've recruited 100 software engineers in the past year, and I can do this job. So they're like, cool, I need a back-end developer with a blah, 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 blah. Thank you.
I could go on the statement you just made, recruiters write job descriptions, because I literally had never, and I've been doing this for going on 21 years. I had never heard that before. And and the thing is, I've worked with her. Like, we were on project teams together. She was one of my systems. She was the project manager when we were doing, we were redoing our applicant tracking system at a previous employer. She was the project manager. She was the one that we were bringing our requirements to. She was the one that was doing, so, and for her to say, oh, recruiters write job descriptions, like,
wow.
What?
There we go.
Yes. So, all right. So last thing, what advice do you have for recruiters? Like, how can they be better? Just one thing.
How can they be better? It's a great question. I would say study yourself.
Okay.
Try to take notice of how often you are doing the talking when you're conducting interviews versus doing the listening. If you're not doing them, learn behavioral interviews, and the skill of probing is invaluable and immeasurable.
Yes.
Over the moon, both of the dolls.
Yes.
Daddy.
Yes, she wants to know about over the moon. Sorry.
Hey,
Okay.
that's
5 minutes. Okay. She's watching Over the Moon for the 7 millionth time.
oh, nice.
Okay.
So listen more than you are talking.
Okay. And how can recruiters be better to each other?
Listen to each other. Share with each other. You are not competing with each other. You are there to help each other.
Okay.
If you are in-house, do not be threatened when your director goes RPO. Do not be threatened when we need a mix of agencies to put a fresh perspective or a clean set of eyes, or they know people that you don't know from previous searches or previous candidates. Like, at the end of it all, like, everybody needs to remember what we are talking about is people. And what we are talking about is filling positions to support the organization. Like, check your ego. It is okay that we work together.
Okay. And how can they be better to job seekers?
Transparency, listening, honesty. And I like the big line we have been working on is you keep seeing how job seekers are telling you about terrible experiences with recruiters. And my immediate go-to line would be like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I am not that recruiter.
Yes. So true.
All right. Final thoughts, Rich?
Yes, Jeffrey, give us a little insight of wrapping up the year here. What do you think next year is going to be like? Just give me a little bit of a forecast in the globe.
He's setting you up.
No, I love discussion.
So I'll give you a two-pronged approach.
Go for it.
For your life, so your own personal life, buckle up. We are in for a lot more of the same.
Okay.
I will be shocked if you are going to a supermarket by the end of 2021 without a mask on. I think that is here to stay. Professionally, like, I will say, like, I am not 100% accurate, but I feel like I know my industry. I will say, like, job seekers, like, hang in there. It's going to get a lot better.
Yes.
I think historically, other industries follow IT and follow healthcare. I know healthcare. I'm in healthcare. We are way behind where we thought we would be when it comes to recruiting, meaning our patient volume right now is 114% what we projected, which means we have way more openings than we thought we were going to be filling before the end of the year. So the pandemic has thrown everybody for a loop. I am a planner. I like to work a quarter in advance, 3 months in advance on assessing current FTE headcount. What is your attrition rate? What's your OT utilization? What is your FMLA? What is your patient volume? Based on that, here's how many people you should have. How many you have right now compared to how many you should have is what we are recruiting for. And that's it. Like, that was impossible when our patient volume dropped to 47% daily, what we were normally seeing. And we were not immune to the pandemic. So we're in radiology, and all of you who watch the news hear about how important x-rays were, but we were still outpatient imaging, which means we are elective, and people are home in their houses. So CTs are far down, MRIs are far down. Team sports were not happening, which means sports injuries weren't happening. So our patient volume plummeted. We were at 47%. I think now that we're 8 months in, people are adjusting. They're deciding to live their life. Like, forget the politics, whatever, however you feel about that. The fact is, people are living their lives right now. People are going to be getting together next week for Thanksgiving. I'm not saying where I stand on that, but it's going to happen. So patient volume is through the roof. Healthcare is hiring. I do think a lot of organizations were hesitant to hire new people out of fear of a second wave, because nobody wants to be the organization that brought on 50 new people to then have to lay them off. So I think a lot of hiring was put on hold. I think it started with a lot of contract temp assignments to avoid having to lay people off. Now I think that we are seeing the adjustment. Healthcare is coming back. IT is coming back. Everybody else follows healthcare. When healthcare starts hiring, all your other industries will start hiring. So hang in there. I think our unemployment should go back to normal. But I also understand like job seekers are burnt out. It's been 8 months of this, 8 months of rejection. People are taking a break from job seeking. Totally get it. Totally get it.
All
I
right.
totally agree. And I think the key is we are here for you, right, Jeffrey? We're here for you. So reach out.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on this latest edition of Trap Chat with the Shark. I said it correctly that time without getting tongue-tied. Next week is Thanksgiving, so we will not have a show on Thursday, but we will have possibly a show on Wednesday, Rich.
We will have a special on Wednesday for sure. So tune in.
Thanksgiving special, because, you know, we're corny like that. And everything next week is going to be about giving thanks. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.